So, I don't like Pixar movies. I don't hate them. I just don't like them. I've never once seen a Pixar movie that has moved me in the way that it seems to move everyone else. And I work with people that, you know, are very moved by everything they do. I remember, you know, Toy Story 3 and this and that, and they're all just going on about, you know, oh, I cried so hard, you know, the first 10 minutes of Up and all this, and I just can't. You know, like, the most I can say is that I'm mildly entertained. I think Monsters, Inc. is probably the only one of these I've ever been, like, I've ever enjoyed. But it doesn't make me cry, it doesn't make me, you know, reevaluate the way I look at the world or anything like that. And I began to wonder why that was, and I had a talk with my girlfriend at the time, and talking about, you know, why is it that I just can't seem to connect with these things the way everybody else does. And she kind of posed the theory that sometimes I do it just to be contrary, that I like being the outsider and the guy who doesn't get everything. I'm not going to say that at one point in my life that wasn't true. You know, when I was in my 20s, you know, when I first started hating the movie Titanic, I now hate it for much more substantial reasons, but I will admit in my 20s, there was that feeling of, I hate the thing that everybody else loves, and that somehow makes me more superior. It makes me, you know, more intelligent. I get things that no one else gets. I'd like to think I've grown out of that, you know, almost 20 years later. But I don't believe that that is the driving force anymore. For the simple matter of, you know, do you know how lonely it is to feel like everyone else in the world can be touched by something and you can't? Is how left out that makes you feel? Conversely, it's kind of like feeling like the entire world is laughing at a joke that you just don't get. And everyone else is clapping and laughing and having a great time, and you're sitting there going, I don't get it. Or I get it, but I don't see why everyone's having such a conniption like it's the funniest thing ever. And this long opening is what brings us to Deadpool. To Deadpool as a comic book character, as a regular character, as a movie character. I just don't find it funny. I don't get it. And I just don't. I did not find the first film all that funny. And I say all that funny because I'm not going to lie to you and say I didn't laugh at all during the first one, or this one I did, but not as much as they were trying to make me laugh. And I will say that even though in the end I did not care for the first film, I laughed a lot more at it than I laughed at this one. And again, so I'm just faced with that thing of, you know, everyone else is getting it. What the hell's my problem? Well, let's talk about what my problem is. And it took me a little while watching this to figure it out, but I think I get it now. I think part of the problem I have with this movie is it's a better movie than the first one. The story is a lot more interesting. Deadpool has an actual character arc. The introduction of Cable is a good thing. There's a lot of good in this, and there's even some serious moments, some weighty moments, and some decent acting going on, but all of that is derailed every time they immediately snap back to the stupidest fucking thing ever, as if to go, laugh, it's funny! Where everyone else does and I don't. Well, actually, that's not even true. In the theater, there's like 2 people going, ha, 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 and everyone else just kind of sitting there, deadpan. So I think that's kind of the major problem with this film. At least in the first film, which again I think is the weaker of the two, the goofy, cartoon character, tone was consistent. It was pretty much all through. As far as I can remember, I only saw it once. Whereas here it tries to alternate back and forth, and the two tones don't mesh. I think they would have been better kind of going one way or the other. I think trying to do both didn't work for it. And I say that even fully admitting that I didn't find the humor in the first one all that amusing. I really didn't. If you want to go straight up parody, go straight up parody. But, Airplane is funny because the cast and crew are taking the funny situation 100% seriously. Here you have an actual serious situation that people are taking seriously like 20 to 30% of the time, and then acting like, fucking imbeciles the rest of the time. So I think that's where the major disconnect came from me, is that it felt, and I had the same problem with this one that I had with the first one, is that instead of making me laugh organically, they're just throwing every fucking thing at the wall, figuring you're gonna laugh at something. So you do that, law of averages. Even a broken clock is right twice a day, unless it's digital. So as opposed to really, it's the same problem I kind of have with the new Mystery Science Theater. Instead of going through and picking out the best jokes and making it a tour de force of the funniest stuff you can think of, it's just say everything. Just keep saying stuff. Just keep saying stuff. Eventually something's going to be funny. Go, 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 go. There's no nuance. And, that's me. That's what I find kind of harsh about it. So good things, again, the story is way more interesting and a way better movie. Whereas the first one felt very low budget, I think because they didn't know if it was going to be a hit or not. It was kind of a risk. So this one, obviously they upped the budget a bit more, so they're not just having their final showdown at Junkyard. Things are a little bit more, epic and actiony in this one, which is good. I like Josh Brolin as Cable. Josh Brolin's had a hell of a year in the comic book movies, man. I mean, he's kind of stolen the show and everything. And he's the perfect kind of straight man against Ryan Reynolds. The two of them work very well off each other. Again, I think the problem with the humor for me is kind of, and I find this with Ryan Reynolds, and I found it with Jim Carrey, and I find it with, God rest him. I know we're not supposed to say anything bad about him, but I mean, it was the truth with Robin Williams. Their comedy performances are never really that funny because they are just, when I speak of Ryan Reynolds, I'm speaking of the Deadpool Ryan Reynolds. They are just fucking going. Go watch a Robin Williams comedy act. Go watch Jim Carrey at the height of his popularity on a talk show, and just how fucking non-stop they were. How like a hyperactive 2-year-old, just going nuts because they're getting a reaction, so they do it even more. Well, maybe it's because I work with hyperactive children. I don't find them that funny. I don't find pee-pee and caca and saying fuck that humorous anymore. I just don't. And I think that's kind of my problem with Deadpool as a character, and it's not necessarily anything to blame with this movie, but it's Deadpool as a character in and of itself, is I think he represents just the complete lack of grounding that fanboys and comic book fans have about themselves. For 20 motherfucking years, people have been bitching because Joel Schumacher made a goofy Batman movie. Oh, he didn't take Batman seriously. Batman's super serial. He's supposed to be serious. He didn't take Batman seriously. And now, with these Deadpool films, are like, finally, a rated R comic book movie. It takes a serial. It takes a super serial. And what is the super adult comedy that we're getting? Dick, sex, and fart joke. Well, actually, they didn't do a fart joke, so I take that one back. And before anybody mentions anything, I get that that's supposed to be the joke. I get that Deadpool is supposed to be a hyper-aware character, you know, in the genre. So you don't need to point that out to me. I get the joke. I just don't think the joke is that funny. Matter of fact, I think the joke is kind of pathetic, to be completely honest with you. So this is a hard one to review. And comedies generally are hard to review. I mean, most of the time, you know, because if a comedy's done right, you know, what makes one person laugh is not what makes another person laugh. You know, as much as I hate stuff like Snatched last year, somebody saw it and thought it was the funniest thing ever. And, you know, they're wrong, but they're entitled to be wrong. So, judging this film is very difficult because I have no clue what to tell you. It's, I thought it was a good comic book movie. I feel, I don't know. But the humor in it it fell so flat for me, and since that's supposed to be kind of the underpinning of the movie, I left the movie feeling very flat. You know, even though the action scenes were really good, the interplay between characters was really good. Again, the story was much more interesting and compelling, but I don't know. The film it didn't do it for me. Deadpool doesn't do it for me. It just doesn't work for me. I don't know what else to say about this one. I really don't. Yeah. So, final grade for Deadpool 2. God damn it. Sorry. I hate saying that. I hate saying the GD. I'm sorry about that. That was rude. Sorry. Fuck. I don't know. That's the problem with introducing this rating system, is sometimes you hit a film, you just don't know how to rate or how to, you know, put some kind of value to it. It's just kind of there. And no grade I think of in my head really works for it. I'm gonna be generous. I'm gonna be very generous and say, I'm gonna round up. Shit. It's really hard. It's like I can hear a drum roll. It's like I don't know. I don't know what to call this one. I don't know what to do with it. I seriously don't. Let's go a B-. I'm going with a B- because it's, like I say, it was a better movie than the original. Like I say, I could see myself watching this movie again because it had, you know, some good parts in it. But again, it left me feeling so flat. I'm tempted to say a C+, and I'm like, was it as good as, you know, Disobedience last week? It's like, well, it was more entertaining. I can say that. Yeah, so we'll go B-. I'll be nice. I don't know if I should be, but I'm going to. But again, long story short, and I always like pointing this out because I feel like film critics sometimes get off of this. If you like it, if this is your thing, then go for it. Go, have a good time, eat your popcorn, have a ball. You know, I'm not saying you can't enjoy it. I'm just saying I didn't. So, from that point of view, folks, yeah. So I got nothing else. So anyway, I said this last week, but I think I've got one more in me before I head back to Alaska, and if everything goes well, I'm going to have a special guest with me. So I'm looking forward to that. So please join us again for Solo, a Star Wars story, and until next time, drive safe, and I will see you at the movies.